I am so happy to introduce one of the emerging leader architect, Ruju Rathod. Is an architect specializing in sustainability in the real estate sector, with over 15 years of experience in India and USA. I think she's from San Francisco, California at this point. Ruzu used both the breadth and the depth of her knowledge to create the innovative solutions. Her experience include working in the affordable housing, small and large architecture firms such as HOK, and the teaching, policy formulations, and software creation, and running her own consultancies. Very busy woman. Health of our environment directly impact to the health of our people. That's what she believes, and we all believe. Her work as a sustainability consultant in Integra Group is reflect her mission to the creative healthy environment for people. And Raju, I believe we have Integra Group. I think since your bio is short enough, I thought maybe I introduce the Integra Group is an interactive global network of design professionals collaborating under the single deep green engineering umbrella. I think they tell you to what does Raju do. So now, Raju, screen is yours.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And let me share my screen. Okay, so what I'm going to share today is, since the topic for today is tools, this is something called as an ERM tool, environmental resource management tool, that I developed while with my practice in India. I'm going to talk about the history and how I developed it, what brought it together, and the tool, and then show you a little video if that works out. So with that, I'm going to start my presentation. I ran an independent consultancy between 2014 to 19 in India, and I was in the realm of sustainability after I had worked at a couple of large architectural firms. And I was experiencing how that there was resistance to green building surveys, green building certifications, sustainability in general. And I was trying to figure out how the architectural fraternity and the construction fraternity could actually use more sustainable design strategies. And I was trying to develop an out-of-the-box thinking practice. So with that, what happened, it was the first thing that I did was to go about administering a survey. So I went about asking 100 people, like the survey, we got 100 participants, about what really is happening in the green building industry. So like Mark said, you really need to know your customers and know what they really want. So this was the first step as just starting the practice. And it seemed like about more than 65% of the people, you can see here, there were like 57% was architects, and then 21% green building consultants. So about more than 65 people had worked on less than 5 green building projects. So it just meant that, you know, they had worked on 1 or 2 projects and had that much information. Then who were these people? In trying to figure out who these people were, it was that 63% of the survey takers were architects, and who had worked on green building projects. And then mainly most of the people who were working on green building projects were the green building consultants. All the developers who I interviewed had worked on green building related projects, which was a great thing. But of course, you can see that the contractors, like only 23% had worked on green building projects. Then the survey asked about, how often do you look out for green products, or do you contact green product vendors, or do you find out green product costs? And it seemed like people just like only once a year max people would try to look out for products, or contact green product vendors, and about around 50% of the time, once a month, people were looking out for costs. So it seemed like more than the vendors or the products, there was some resistance to cost, and hence like people were looking for costs more than they were looking for the actual product. And then the survey also asked what kind of products have you used? And so as normal, the LED lighting, water fixtures, glazing had a very high permeability. Insulation was also in the list, followed by paints and plumbing fixtures and roof insulation, etc. So clearly in that, 71% said that high capital cost was a deterrent to implementing green features. And then they were looking for cost and payback information, online directories, maintenance visits if possible, training programs, webinars, just dials, and all of that. So after gathering all this information, it just seemed like an online database for cost and payback information would be a very good tool. So with one of my partners, I started this tool as like the vendor database. So this vendor database would be identifying a small list of products, and then also, so say for example, we realize that LED lighting, high insulation, low E glass, roof, wall insulation, air conditioners. So within the energy, water, and materials categories, there was a little suite of products that people would like to know more about, and especially the cost of that. So this was how this entire tool started. And then, okay, so the idea was to provide some information about the particular product. So if it was a solar hot water system, like there would be a calculator that provided people inputs, and then they would get the outputs. The output would be at the bottom, where there would be like 3 vendors, names of 3 products, the electric cost, the purchase cost, and the lifespan. So this was the start of the tool, and based on that survey and that survey result. Okay, then so having got this far, I was continuing to have my practice and have clients who were pursuing green building certification systems. One of the most popular green building certification system or green rating system is the IGBC Green Homes in India, which is the Indian Green Building Council Homes. So it has a similar structure to LEED homes. And so in my practice, what I was trying to do was I had developed this roadmap sort of for the IGBC Green Homes final certification. And it was sort of a responsibility matrix where there were some general characteristics, there were site planning characteristics so it was divided into general, site planning, architecture, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, waste management, and construction. And so this was the way I was going about my business in, trying to explain to all the architects, the landscape architects, the consultants, MEP consultants, and the contractor about how what were the requirements within each for each discipline, and then what were the total points that were available to each discipline, how they were faring in the normal process of using checklists, spreadsheets, calculations, trying to figure out all of that. And so in doing all this, I realized that the developers ultimately do want to pursue a green rating system. The contractors do not have enough information about products and costs. And so merging both of these was essential in a manner that both these parties, both the stakeholders, so the developer and the contractor, would really be able to understand how the process was going. And to some extent, this process of identifying the category and the credits into the particular discipline was helping, because then they didn't have to have the credit name, remember the credit name. All they needed to know was the main category and the category, the criteria requirements. So between that, this was kind of working. And then I realized that there are a lot of products in here as well assimilated. So then as an evolution, it became clear that there would be a need to develop this product vendor database to assimilate with a green building rating system. So I did look at a lot of green building rating systems, and the IGBC Green Homes was the most popular one at that time, and still is. And so as a result of this was the tool that was developed. So the features of the tool are that it is catered to the IGBC Green Homes rating system. It did mimic the all the disciplines. So there was a general tab, and then those got transferred into tabs. So that is general, site planning, architecture, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, waste management, and construction management practices or contractor. And then this is, I know this is static, but we'll have a video which will be a little bit more interactive. I know tools, I mean, what good is a tool if it's not interactive? So this is the beginning of the project, where the first part in the general category is project information. And so all the project information would be required. This is what is required. And to meet the mandatory requirements, there was a little note here. Based on the site area and the building area, the calculator was also able to, or the tool was able to also provide the registration fees, the pre-certification fees, and the final certification fees for that rating system. So what this would have been able to achieve was that it would give the developer very easy access in the beginning to know, without even having a consultant, without hiring a consultant, to be able to understand what the requirements would be, what the costs would be, what the products would be, and all of that set up in a report format and provided once they either they provided the inputs, or they could toggle through using the tool to check what the inputs required needed to be, or what design strategies they would have to follow. So so that was the start of this. Then moving to site plan. So the site plan, as you can see in this illustration, would involve any water bodies, any percolation pits, any rainwater harvesting cisterns, the paved area, the vegetated area, grass pavers, if there was a green roof, the parking garage in the basement, the surface parking, and then anything on the top. So everything related to site planning would be, again, in the same manner, would be input by the client, and then based on their inputs regarding paving, parking, rainwater harvesting, all the site requirements, the tool would provide the eligibility for the credits. If the project was like eligible for more points, the tool would also provide thresholds, and I'll show you how that was generated in a report. And it would also have a product tab, so there would be products. If there were applicable products related to that particular credit, then the team could also look at products and pick or have that as a reference. So this is more inputs of how there was softscape. So if there's any water body, there are trees, new trees, existing trees, lawns, on, like if there was a green roof, all of that. This was also tied to the climate. It was tied to the percentages, thresholds of threshold requirements of the credits, and then so like there would be some notes of what would be able to be considered, like a little bit of a guidance or trivia as to what should be considered as green roofs, what can be considered as native species, what can be considered a non-native species, and then whether the project is eligible or not eligible. Also, in the case of there being different thresholds for points, that information would also be there, that the project is able to achieve 1 point or 2 points or 3 points. And in order to achieve, you've achieved 1 point, in order to achieve 2 points, you can do this. In order to achieve 3 points, the further you could do this. So all of that would be on the right-hand side to see, and anybody could take screenshots, but also, and so also there's a report, which I'll just show you in a minute. And so on and so forth. Each of these components is a separate tab. And then pretty much this is the report format, where you get whatever you input, you get all of that in the report format. So you could see what your plot area is, built up area, your location, climate zone, occupancy, rating, fees, everything that was put into the tool and that is relevant for the rating is available over here. The report is also outlining each of the categories and also providing you with a point tally. So the project is achieving 17 out of the 19 total points that you can achieve. Also that the project is telling you where, so like as far as like natural vegetation, the project has achieved only 2 out of 4, but then in the rest of the categories has been able to achieve all. So at a glance, in about 5 or 6 pages, you're able to very quickly look at this entire rating system. And then everything that you saw on the screen is also available in terms of this design recommendation. So like we saw that the natural vegetation was 2 of the 4 points. So so the report would also provide a design recommendation saying that you could increase the vegetation by 402 square meters to 224 to gain 3 points, extra points, and then this much to gain 3 points. And then further, you have, you have your recommendations for all of the remaining, even if you had achieved them. So let's say the project went on hold and the year after you reconvened and started looking at the project, you still have this report to hold on to and say, oh, okay, yeah, this was what we had done. And now if the design changes, then we'll get 1 point or we'll not get 1 point, even without using the tool. You could, of course, use the tool again as many times with as many iterations to do to keep working on your design or to keep working on your rating system as you work on the design, either way. And then the report also provided a point summary. So this project was meeting 80 out of 100 and a platinum. This is the graph of how the point allocation is in the rating system of 100 points. And then the difference here in the project summary is what was not achievable. So 20 points are not achievable. And that's how we get to the 80. And you can also see how in each of your categories, so 17 out of 19, 23 out of 35, so on and so forth, have been achieved. So that would give a immediate, quick response of the design, and which is very helpful to also, this can also translate to the cost. So if you wanted to do more or less, where you would increase or reduce, and then depending on that, you could check your inputs, go back and check your inputs. Okay, with that, I am going to try to use, I'm going to switch on this video. Let's see if it works here. This was my website. And so how would one log in? That'd be a sign up. If you had an account already, you could use your username and password. For your project, you would have the points shown right there. So in the general categories, let me go back. So in the general categories, we have project information, we have the number, types of apartments, the amenities, and the nearby amenities that are within 1 kilometer of the site. In the site planning category, I showed, oops. Okay. So softscape, hardscape, rainwater harvesting. It'll show you more. And then the summary was the summary that the report would generate. It would also show you where the deficiencies are. So you may apply for 4 points to apply for 4. You may apply for 2 points to apply for 4 points, increase your vegetation to this much square meter. And so in the architecture side, we had structure, building envelope in terms of wall assembly, picking a wall assembly, roof assembly, window assembly, shading devices, green roofs, Also, the total project cost was asked for to get a sense of the materials. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
I don't see any questions from the public, but maybe now it's a good time to do the questions if someone has one.
It's funny, but yeah, there were some questions that we haven't asked to the previous speakers because we didn't have the time. But yeah, so I don't know if Vivian, you have some of your own.
Actually, thank you, Raju. It was great presentation. I specifically don't have any question.
Okay, yeah, no, I think the tool that you have shown, that's what we're here for, you know, like learning how things gets done in different places, the different tools that architects use to solve problems. In this case, you know, to rate a building in terms of environmental design. And I didn't know that tools like that existed, that you can plug all the information and get such amazing and quick results. Of course, plugging the information is not an easy task, but how long it takes you more or less to plug an information of like a residential building?
I think it would take you about 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours if you had everything. You could also make some choices. You can make some, like within the tool, if you don't have the information, you can you can use the tool to make a decision.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say that in during schematic design, you're using the tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can say, okay, well, I'm gonna, well, as you gave the example, I'm gonna increase or not the landscape to achieve these goals. So it's an early tool to use during the design development of the project. And how many buildings have you used this tool?
So far, this tool is not yet public. It's still in development because a part of the software development is still going on. So yeah, we don't have any buildings yet.
Okay, but this is for as your private consulting, or it's for a firm?
For private consulting.
And what gradings would you achieve? What ratings?
So right now, this only has the calculator for the IGBC, Indian Green Building Council homes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a question here.
There's a question here.
How you manage inflation?
How do you manage inflation? Yeah, the main aspect of inflation is the increasing product costs that are related to this product database. The product database and the costs are updated every 6 months. That's the plan. So if the product price has increased, then it would reflect in that report, or it would reflect in the inputs provided to you.
And what would it take to go to the market? What else is necessary to be implemented?
I'd say a year's worth of testing. So that would be like providing it free of cost to anybody who wants to use it, developers, architects, green building consultants. having that sort of customer service in case someone, for a year at least, which is free, in case someone, you know, has problems with the software, doesn't understand the inputs, etc. What could they do? And then also allowing the vendor database, the vendors to provide their information free of cost on the portal for a year again. So maybe some like marketing and business development, marketing costs to make sure that the tool is being used by people. So yeah, I would say the costs of running this free for a year is what it would take to get it to launch.
Yeah, that's a fantastic tool. We're working on a lead project right now, and our team is, analyzing these almost by hand. And so, it's good to know that there are tools, working out
Right.
in the different ways and a more holistic way too.
Yeah.
Then another question would be, you mentioned you worked on large offices. Before it was mentioned by J.J. Falk, HOK. In that case, what was your role and what did you learn from that office, that you're implementing here?
As far as the tools are concerned?
Yes.
I think one aspect that is common, whether it is a large office, large practice, large projects, or small practice, small office, small projects, the one commonality is that most projects in schematic design have a very short lead time, sometimes even like 2 to 3 weeks only, whatever may be the size of the project. And I would say that it's like an 80-20 principle. 20% of the time is in schematic design and 80% of the decisions are taken in that period in schematic design. So it's just the time and the amount of decisions taken is very disproportionate. And so at that point, anything that is forward looking is best if provided in a very quick way, in a quick, that can ease the designers and in arriving at their decisions. So decision-making tools in schematic design, I think, have great potential because of this reason.
Yeah, and yeah, as you said, like, I also work on a large office, Perkinisman.
Yeah.
We have to make all these decisions quickly. We don't want to make them at the end of the, end of a schematic or beginning of PD.
Right.
That should be completely solved. Hopefully you want that to be easy to make a project or a lead project or a green project. And knowing that there is a tool that quickly, like as you said, in 2-3 hours can lead you to some guidance on how to design the building. Right. Is looking forward for a more efficient collaboration, with the, with the team in charge of looking into those aspects of the project. So
absolutely, yes.
Well, so I think that we don't have any more questions, and we need to move to the next speaker soon. So we'll thank you for being with us today. I don't know if JJ, you have any other comments?
It's wonderful presentation, very detailed, Ruju. Thank you very much. I'm sure many of the audience to see that it's not just a simple process to being, in the consultancy, position. I'm sure you have various experience to giving you to the lead to get there, but it's been around quite a while in America. I mean, we have a CBGB, GBC, licensing and certifications. I have been early stage variety of projects in interiors as well, corporate. But I think my another question will be economic point of view, but what's the percentage of a fee that you will be allocated to get through this process?
Very interesting question. Okay, so in this tool, the fee is not determined yet, but I'd say that in say US dollar terms, it would be, or even in terms of Indian rupees, it's $100 to $150 per project to get like one iteration, or a higher fee than that to if you would like to use it for more than, say, a month, like for a longer extended period of time.
I see.
But the aim and objective of this tool is that in about $100 to $150 a project can do an evaluation.
Okay, only evaluation. So
Only
it is
evaluation.
only evaluation to using that software,
Right.
and to register and then get the result.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that is a very nominal number.
Yes. Yes.
Any kind of projects, I guess. But having that software to distribute as a basic, I think it is so important. I mean, all of the projects that probably that's $100 to $200. What is that? For I mean, for our point of view, that's just something that you have to have a drink. So I think great entry, and great to know you, and thank you very much for this presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to present.